What is it? What is it now? What do you ask of the Knight of Thorns? Murder, theft, fornication? I'll have you know that I am no ordinary scoundrel, but a master of all three. You forgot, filthy, lewd, and drunk out of his wits. Although, I do admit, cowardly has a nice ring to it. Of course, if there is one thing the Knight of Thorn truly fears, it is sobriety. Another drink, innkeeper!
I don't think I have enough for that yet. You can help me salt the cheese curd.
Why can't Froa do it?
Because I'm telling you to.
Acting, yes. That's what the steward said. It was all an act. What a jarring moment. To be told that everything you are was but a creation of your own imagination. What I am doing now is getting acquainted with that person. Getting to know the real me. This knight you speak of is a farce. Leave him be. When I was a child, they said my bones were too brittle to be a knight. I was afflicted with an illness that left me a dry, wilted rose. They said the only way I could survive was if I was perfect. If I could somehow manage to parry every blow. They were right. I am broken. And all it took was a single mistake. Make it quick. Why indeed? Why not my ancestral home of Morrowind? The land which the Countess herself assured I would be escorted to. It was no doubt a mistake that I found myself being marched up the face of the Gerald Mountains, blades of snow slicing against my brow. Pure accident that my brothers and sisters, members of the Order of the Rose, ushered me down an unmarked road and tossed me into a tiny alcove. I remember chipping a tooth when I hit the ground. The dirt was frozen solid, so hard that even the wormwood refused to grow. Yet what it lacked in flora, it made up for in bones. It was an ogre's hunting grounds, and my grave. I laid in that fallow pit for an entire night, waiting for my death, welcoming it. And then, as the hour grew darkest, I thought the snow had finally begun to recede. Only when I looked up, I found it had gathered on the back of the biggest, ugliest ogre I had ever seen. And did the Countess have a weapon when I used her like a scabbard? No. The manner of death they chose for me was appropriate. But the executioner was reluctant. Even the ogre found my mendacity distasteful. The dumb brute stared at me for what seemed like hours, before letting out a grunt and chewing on the goat carcass that he dragged to the alcove. If that wasn't humiliating enough, he proceeded to tear out a chunk of flesh and offer it to me like I was a pet. I lacked the courage to refuse. I sank my teeth into the meat like a feral dog, let its blood restore my vitality. Rather than face my death with honor, the next morning I used that strength to flee north, crossing the border to Skyrim. Why, certainly. That night I was drinking and whoring as I usually did, after spending the morning pretending to be chaste. Then I donned my helm, and in full armor, I stumbled over to the Countess's chambers, sending the guards on an assignment to oblivion. I pounded the door of her bedchamber, awaking the Countess. "Urgent business," I said. "Is the Count with you?" She told me the Count was in Bruma, discussing some sort of territorial dispute over the Countess's buttocks. Then I told her that I had good news and bad news. The good news was she wouldn't be in pain for long. Then I gave her the bad news. When I was finished, I did what most traitors do. I defiled the corpse and then laughed maniacally before returning to my bedchamber for a nap. Oh, and who is to say what is true and untrue? The Count's steward, that's who. Unless you are him, then it does not matter what you think. Yes, that was an order founded by a previous count, Farwell Indaris, one of the heroes of the Oblivion Crisis. At one point, however, one of his descendants, who disliked the thorny sigil, decided to alter it to suit her tastes. She was fond of roses. So the Knights of the Thorn became the Order of the Roses, fighters chosen as much for their incorruptible honor as their skill in battle. We swore an oath to more than the Count. We swore to uphold the very essence of virtue. We were the unsullied, the unspoiled. Every single member arose without a thorn. That is who you speak with. An elf who betrayed not just the Countess, not just her ancestors, but the very ideal of what a knight aspires to be. We did more than obey the laws of gods and men. To fight lust, we swore an oath of celibacy. To fight indolence, we promised to be punctual. To fight passion, we refused to drink. And to fight greed, we often shared our spoils with the townsfolk. We were more than just honorable, more than mere knights. We were immaculate. Emphasis on the word were. The Knight of Thorns does not smell like a rose. He is a poisonous vine, and his touch is venom. Right. You want me to return to Cyrodiil, embarrass the court and the order, and risk my own execution? Well, on the one hand, there's a chance I may reclaim my honor. On the other hand, I am tired, and would rather suckle on this flagon of mead. Away with you. What? Oh, Of course. So it was obviously I who, jealous over her love of the Count, clumsily stabbed the woman I was sworn to protect. Oh, such lies! Lies perpetuated by the Knight of Thorns! After... Yet for the... But, why... Perhaps I have been going about this all wrong. I should be embracing who I am, and not the monster I have been branded as. Speak. What? Oh, of course. So it was obviously I who, jealous over her... No. It matters not. What are you suggesting? I'm... Yet... Or... Perhaps I'll just stay here and keep drinking. And build a new...